What's up, everyone? Hope you had a good long weekend and also a good Lunar New Year if you celebrate that. So today, coming in after a long weekend, I usually like to ease into my trades and take things easy and fight a lot of the FOMO that I'm sure a lot of people are feeling after a long weekend. Some main stocks traded today were mostly the crypto stocks for me, the ones also in the hype sector, of course, with Bitcoin breaking new all-time highs around 51,000. I don't trade crypto, but I trade a lot of these sympathy plays like SOS, Riot, and a couple other small caps like SCKT and BNGO. So the first trade I took was SOS. I was more bullish on this one, thinking that it's a multi-day breakout, and as long as we're holding the gap from pre-market and sustaining the gap up, you can see very nice volume on the daily charts. I think you can see more push towards 14s and above. I was more long bias on this. I did get a little bit FOMO and get a really bad ad up here, but majority of my shares were accumulated around the 1130s. After this pullback, I started in first a small size. Over here, it looks like it was weak, gonna break down, stopped out the starter size. Once it reclaimed VWAP, you can see a very, very clear pop above VWAP, pulled back below VWAP, and reclaimed it slowly with some decent volume at the bottom here. So that's when I took another long and even added around the 1160s and added around the 12s and sold into the pushes, the most of it. This should have been the spot where I sold all of it, but it did look like at the time that it was going to sustain the breakout and actually go parabolic, kind of like what SCKT did, but it didn't do that. So I did get back some profit. I re-loaned some here and then sold all of it here and had the rest break even around here. So decent gain on this. Could have been a lot better if I didn't had a terrible ad up here. This is what I mean by, after a long weekend, I usually experience some FOMO. But it's good to keep myself in check and stop out of the rest break even, especially when you had a decent entry below the 12s. So after all these, I had a really decent average, about $12, and sold, of course, the majority into the pushes around 13s, but did get a little bit greedy up here, so gotta be careful with that. So that's the first stock, SOS. BNGO, it's a small loser for me. I started in with a starter long around the 15s and thinking I was gonna get a squeeze to $16. Didn't work. I immediately stopped out. You can see right at the bottom, and this thing just took off my stop and went back to new highs without me. Story of my life. So it's a small loss on this with starter size, so it was okay. Now the other trade, Riot, this one is a stock that I'm pretty familiar with, and it usually trades pretty closely in tandem with the BTC futures. So when I'm trading this, I can have the Bitcoin chart open from my Thinkorswim on the side and watching it. So you can see Riot, we had a pretty nice all-time high, well, not all-time high, but 52-week high breakout above the Friday's gap up level. I did take a loss on the short side because at the open, Bitcoin looked weak off the open. After that 51,000 push, it had a pretty decent pullback. So that's why I was shorting the stock. Didn't work. I stopped out right away. Right around here is when it put in a double top. You can see around 61s and just kind of slowly fading down. That's why I started scaling in on the short side. That gave me a decent average about the 59.60s. I did cover some a little bit too soon, but I'm trying to let it work because if you look at the BTC chart, Bitcoin did pull back pretty significantly and went all the way back to the lows of the day, and that's where I caught the big move from 59.60s, and then actually added on this another lower high after this high failed, right? Covered some unfortunately too soon, but I was trying to let the rest just right out. It's very difficult to short in this market, and that's why if I'm doing it, I want to make sure I'm adding it slowly on a winner. I only started adding after this high failed, and that gave us a pretty decent unwind. You can see each high it made, it's lower than the previous. It's in an intraday downtrend. I didn't add over here, and then we got a nice flush move down here. We covered the majority and had a final scalp. And I was all out of the shorts around the double bottom here on the daily. You can see retrace all the way back to 55, 56's area, and putting a double bottom, and we're just kind of reclaiming back to over VWAP. I traded both Riot on the long side and the short side, and this thing loves to hug VWAP. Every single time it dropped below VWAP, had a drastic drop, it likes to reverse and reclaim and then do the same thing. So this is what we call a VWAP hugger. So decent trade on the short side on Riot, so this is another BTC name, and I was long on SOS and BNGO. Now the next stock is SCKT. I traded this on the long side, and of course in hindsight I really piked out. This thing just slowly grind up after 11, and then there was just no pullback whatsoever. And it was also very interesting because the locates on this to short was very expensive. They were like 11 cents. I did locate some, but it wasn't like big enough for me to want to try to test it out, especially when the stock seems to be trapping each time it pulls back. You can see, after that squeeze and you pull back, another trap held the lows of support around the 20s and squeeze up to new highs. So sometimes, not having enough locates is a good thing. I was actually long, but I never got a good size on it because it just feels like I'm chasing into this. And when I'm trading a stock and it feels like a chase, I use what I call chase size. They were basically just tiny scalps. And over here, I did feel like I was getting a little bit sloppy. So I sold the majority of it only to see this thing squeeze to $33. The action on this thing reminded me a lot of SPI from last September. A lot of hold up and grind up, and not letting the shorts out, even though it didn't really have that many shorts available in the first place. But the news on this is bullish. They had some sort of accessory news for iPhone 12. So a lot of times when these small caps, they get these big names like Apple, Amazon, Walmart. These are all the headlines that we've seen in the past. They get a lot of squeeze move like this. So, but I'm done with this. I feel like I'm kind of over trading on this one, especially when it feels like I'm getting like sloppy entries on the long side. I think it's good to leave it alone. But this thing might still be trapping for more to the upside, but I'm all out for this, especially when it doesn't offer like a decent consolidation pullback. So keeping the trades pretty simple today, trying very hard to avoid FOMO right now. But it's time for some Q&As from Jose. Quick question on watch list. After creating a new watch list from previous days, do you delete them and start a new one, or just keep on adding on? Usually what I like to do is at the end of the day, I'll look at all the runners, and the ones that held the gains are suitable for second day or the third day. But the ones that just sell off, I take them off watch. So for a stock to stay on my watch list, it needs to be sustaining the breakout levels. So for SCKT, for example, so if they close above the $20 breakout level, then I'll be interested in another play potentially on this tomorrow. Same thing as SOS and Riot. If they close weak, I probably will take it off watch. But if they close sustaining most of the breakout, then usually that's where I like to see continuation on the second day tomorrow. So decent way to start the week, and hopefully we get more follow through on these crypto stocks. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the bad jokes. If you want to see more day trading content, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more. If you'd like to trade with me daily and get my free weekend watch list and trading journal, make sure to check out the links below for more resources. Stay green, stay positive, and I'll see you guys next time.